We're up.
We are.
We are.
Hi, guys.
Ta-da! You better tell them what's going on.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Dan here is running our board because our producer is off producing other things. So, bear with us, guys.
I think I got it now, for the most part. Let me find the chat. There we go. All right. I'm good, I think. Can everybody hear us? Let me know.
Can everyone see us?
Somebody say something in the chat if you can see us and hear us. I think we're good, though. So how's Lindsay?
Well,
not that I don't know because we've been talking for 20 minutes.
Other than that, other than family drama, I'm doing okay.
Well, that's wonderful. So should I share my story or no?
Don't scare them.
All right, I won't. Let's just say I had a little health incident, but I'm good. So, all right. So this week we're kind of leaving it open-ended. Although I'm going to throw out a topic just for fun, and it's more for me than for the show, because it's all about me. So one of the things that I am working on is a series of videos. So what I want to know, and I've been using Gronk, ChatGPT, Google's, whatever it is, a whole bunch of them, and asking this question, which is, what are the top 15 issues that men say they're facing now? So not what experts say or anything like that, but the average man, what are the top 15 issues that they're concerned about? And the various AIs are all over the place. They are, I mean, they're consistent on some things, like, people disparaging them all the time, basically, the media putting them down, dating relationships, but everything else is all over the place. And you know what's not showing up? False allegations. Yeah, it's the number one thing I hear about in my emails and DMs.
It's almost like there's a concentrated effort to bury that.
Well, I asked ChatGPT that. I said, where are you pulling these from? And it gave me the link. I think I don't know if I have it in front of me. And it was pulling it from Reddit for the most part, and asked men on Reddit. And I'm like, no. I want other places. So well, Steve, Steve asked, I would like to know what trends you're seeing. Here, let me show it. On that. And so the trend that I am personally seeing, number one by a mile right now, is false allegations. It's not even close. And that's been consistent for better part of 6 to 9 months now. Dating relationships is next, I would say. Third, there is no like consistent third. It's all over the place, which is why I want to kind of address that. So I'll throw that out as just kind of a side thing. But other than that, it's open mic night. Men on Reddit. Anthony, I got to show this one. This is what Anthony said. Men on Reddit, oxymoron. Have you been on Reddit anytime recently, Linz?
No.
Don't. Yeah, no, just don't. But yeah, so let me know what you think is the top, let's say your top 3 issues that you think men are facing in the comments, because you'll helping me out. Maybe Lindsay will do videos on it too. Who knows? But what else you want to talk about? We're going to open it up for you guys today. Lots of stuff we want to start doing with this. We're hoping to bring some guests on in the near future. I've got 2 I've already talked to about coming on soon. Lindsay doesn't know that yet. Well, one is Maddie. So I've just got to, so I'm trying to get Maddie. I've got to reach out to her again. It's been at least a month since I last talked to her, which she's more than willing to come on. It's just she's got to arrange it around her schedule. She does have a newborn, but we want to get her on to talk about parental alienation. And then I've got a couple other people in the pipeline who have said, yes, they're willing to come on. And I'm going to reach out to David Pizarra again, the divorce attorney, my buddy. Is this my girlfriend? Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me show it. I'm going to have fun showing these today. Are you talking about Lindsay? They probably saw what I posted on your one Facebook. Um, no, Lindsay is not my wife, nor is she my girlfriend. She's my daughter from another mother and father.
Surrogate. Oh, I swear. I swan it. So, well, while we're waiting for more questions to come in, you would like to hear adventures of me in feminist Facebook land?
Go for it. Let's hear it.
So I actually had a woman, a feminist, follow me, and she seemed actually reasonable-ish, all things concerned. We disagreed, and I would put up things that would counter some of the claims she was making, and we had some normal, discussion. She goes, well, I don't necessarily see what you're seeing, but I concede that I don't always see everything, and that doesn't sound like a cool thing. I was like, cool, she's willing to be nice to me, or nice-ish. Well, then she posted something about how what is it she said? It was about age of marriage, teenage marriage. And I was like, okay, well, according to the belief is that there's a whole bunch of 45-year-old men running around marrying teenage girls.
Ew.
And so
Sorry.
I go, I actually did a script for a video on this recently. According to US Census data, the majority of age gaps when you marry in the teens is 2 to 3 years. So it's either teens marrying each other, or like an 18 or 19-year-old will marry like a 21 or 22-year-old. So the 18 and 19 is counted within teen marriage. So it kind of skews the thing, because when you hear teen marriage, you are thinking like underage. But then you remember that 18, 19 is still an adult. I got married. I got married at 19. And so she's a feminist, right? I was like, okay, you're talking about autonomy, and you're talking about women having autonomy. So either an 18-year-old girl is an adult or she isn't. Like, it's very condescending to sit there and claim that you're not an adult, and to sit there and say that a 19-year-old doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, because I knew damn well what I was doing, and I resent anyone that says I didn't. And she's like, well, it's just, we're not talking about the minority, we're talking about the majority. So I went and found the US Census data that proved that my point, that it's a majority of, either teens with a very close approximate age marrying each other, even in cases where it's, they're both minors, which, by the way, in all of the states, there's 34 states that allow adults to marry minors, and the adults that are marrying minors are usually 18 or 19.
Well,
but
how are they defining a minor, though?
Anyone under the age of 18. So say your 17-year-old girlfriend gets pregnant.
17.
So say your 17-year-old girlfriend gets pregnant and the boyfriend is 18. You have to get a permission from a parental consent, and a judge, not one or the other, both, in order to get married. And that's true in 34 states in the US. And so she was like, well, it's adults marrying teens. I go, what are we counting an adult here? Because an 18-year-old marrying a 17-year-old is a hell of a different story than a 45-year-old marrying a 16-year-old. I have this odd feeling that you think the majority of them are the 45 and the 16-year-old, but we don't have that.
That's exactly what they think.
Well, I showed her the data, and guess what? Suddenly she wasn't so reasonable, and I got blocked.
Yeah, because you showed her the truth. They can't handle the truth, right? We got to get out like a series of videos that I can put up, like they can't handle the truth or something like that, although we get nailed for copyright infringement. It's funny, along those lines, I saw a video, and I didn't save it, I probably should have, where a woman close to my age, I would say in her 50s, was just railing because she knew some guy with 38 who was dating 20-year-old. And 20-year-old women are too immature and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I was in the comments. I didn't say anything, but a couple of people are putting, so you're saying that women aren't mature at 20? They're not adults? Aren't you basically infantilizing them? Or they didn't use that word. And she got pissed, It's just, what I think a lot of what that is, Lindsay, is the older ones are just jealous, right? Older women do not like younger women. We all know that.
Well, they're jealous, but it's also, ironically, and I've learned this from being on feminist spaces, because I do go into feminist spaces. I have to be willing to listen to what they're saying so that I can counter it. Although sometimes sitting through the whole long thing. I can feel my IQ dropping. I can feel my brain dribbling out my ears. But I force myself to, sit through it. And the most misogynistic pieces of shit that I have ever met are feminists. They have such
Oh,
a low opinion of women,
well, and that's the
especially
point.
women disagree with them.
Yeah, that's the point they were trying to make on that video, right? Some of the people, and it was women saying it, it wasn't men. It was women saying it, which I was like impressed by, right? And that's why I didn't put my comment in there, because the comments were 99% women. And I'm like, yeah, if I go in there, it's just going to cause trouble, which I don't necessarily mind, but I don't have the time or energy right now. But it's interesting that these are the same women, by the way, who bitch about it, but who want to date older men,
Well,
right?
see that I've never understood that. Okay, so if a younger woman wants to date an older man, she knows what she wants. She wants the guy that's established and everything. But if that same older man whom she wants to date reciprocates her interest, he's a predator.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, you keep trying to find sense when there is none. I've been telling you this for 3 years now. It's my viewpoint on it all is, as long as you're legal, let me say that, it does, age difference is irrelevant, right? Me personally, I would not date someone, I'm 62. I wouldn't date someone, if I ever were to date, which I never will be. I probably wouldn't go younger than 45, 15 or so years, give or take, right? And I'm just arbitrarily picking that number because I wouldn't have anything in common with anyone younger. That said, if for some, again, I'm married, I'm happily married, I'm never going to date anyway. But if I were to, hypothetically speaking, and I found somebody who was 25 who had the same interests that I do, I'm not opposed to it, right? Or vice versa. If I found somebody 85, okay. Age is a number to me. It always has been. All of my wives were older than me. So it's like, you know, um, I hate that people want to put boundaries like that on there, but most of the time the boundaries are due to jealousy, and it's mostly older. I'll say, when I say older, I'm going to say 35 and up women that are like that. You know, Obviously I'm generalizing, but that's kind of where it falls, and that's because they've hit the wall. Once they hit the wall, they hate the younger women. Do you watch the series Landman?
No, I've seen parts of it.
Oh, girlfriend, you got to watch it. It is hands down the best show on TV right now. But it's right out of tech. It's right in your area, you know. But to be blunt, there are two really good looking women on there. They're a mother and daughter. The mother's Ali Landry, I think her name is, the actress. She's like 50 years old. She's drop dead gorgeous for her age. The daughter, I don't remember her name, is like 25 in real life. But you look at them, I would have no interest in the 25-year-old. I'd be interested in the 50-year-old. That's me, though. I wouldn't actually date either one of them because they're both whack jobs, but that's their character they're playing. But you should check that show out. It is hands down Landman. It's on Paramount. Hands down the best show on TV, in my opinion, right now. And not just because the two hot blondes are on it, okay? And they're both tall, by the way, just for the record. Says
You
the
say
guy
tall, but I know how tall your wife is.
Says the guy married to a short 4'11" dwarfish blue brunette. But yeah, it's that whole scenario it's interesting to me, though, how women treat each other that way, right? It's the sisterhood goes right out the window. Where's the support?
Well, it's
You know,
there's two caveats to the support that I've learned, which don't make sense to me, and why one of the main reasons why I have so very few female friends. But the two caveats are: we support you as long as you make the same decisions that I do,
the
the
ones
one
we
we
approve
approve
of.
of. And two, we support you as long as you don't stand in my way. As long as you aren't competition, we're good. But the minute that I think that, not me personally, but if the minute someone thinks that you might be competition for them, or you're in their way, or you might prevent them from reaching something they want or achieving something, then you're automatically an enemy. And I unfortunately received the bulk of that because I have been called a trans man or trans woman so many times. So many times.
Which they're in support of trans.
But they use it as an insult.
But they use it as an insult. Or gay. Like I get called gay all the time. I'm like, you realize that you're putting down gay people trying to use that as an insult? No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. I mean, why would you throw that out there? How is that? I mean, it doesn't offend me at all. Some ways I wish I was gay. It'd be a hell of a lot easier life, right? Because I know a lot of gay men, and they are way happier.
Yes, because when you ask their partner, what do you want to eat? They would tell you, it's efficient.
They don't fight over the toilet seat being up or down. That's why, what is it, like less than 26-7% of divorced men or gay men get divorced, as opposed to 55 for heterosexual couples and close to 80 for lesbian couples. You know, if you're not going to fight over the toilet seat being up or down, it's probably a good thing. Here's an interesting comment. Let me show this one. So, who said, don't they say women mature faster than men? Yes, all the time, but apparently it only applies in certain circumstances. And yet 18 and men are drafted and sent to war.
My argument for that, when they always sit there and say that an 18-year-old girl doesn't know what she's doing, I go, okay, but an 18-year-old girl can vote. An 18-year-old girl can also sign up to fight and potentially die for her country, but she can't be trusted to know who she wants to freaking date.
She can also choose to have a child or not, if I'll just put it that way.
You can have all these decisions that are a mark of maturity. You can get a tattoo. You can do all these things that are a mark of maturity. But when it comes to not being able to be trusted who to date, and I noticed that we don't make that argument when the guy is, you know, within like 5 years of someone. And it's like, so wait, we're back to, just like I said, they're making choices. Those women are making choices that you disagree with. Therefore, suddenly you're going to deny them their own autonomy and agency.
Yep. And they're consistent,
about it. And these are the same women who are screaming that I have internalized misogyny. And I'm like, mirror, mirror on the wall, you first.
All right, let's shift it a little bit because I want to throw up this one. All right, so Lambda Madsadevel, I can't say that, asked, what do you think of passport bros in both scenarios where she comes here and when you move abroad? Linz, I'll let you give your opinion first, and then I'll give mine, although I have a feeling they're going to be similar.
So what I find interesting is there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to go to a culture where they have values that mirror more traditional values, more traditional gender roles, there is nothing wrong with that. My only issue with passport bros is actually not with the men themselves, but with the women who are commenting on it, because the internalized misogyny, and I do not use that phrase lightly, of United States women or Western women, their opinion of these women in these other countries is that they're idiots. Well, you only want to find a woman that's, you know, a freaking moron, and you want to take advantage of her. So basically you're saying that any woman who's not from Canada, the UK, or the US is a doormat, who is an idiot. Okay, Cupcake, that tells us a lot of what you view, how you view women.
Racist much? Well, I went down this rabbit hole, God, probably about a year ago. Because you know how it is on TikTok. You look at something and you look at another one, next thing you know, it's in your feed day after day. But I ended up somehow in this part of TikTok where it was like women from the Philippines, Japan, Thailand, those areas, right? Basically Eastern countries, responding to those women, right? It was right around the same time the whole 4B thing was popping up, and all the Korean women were just trashing the American women who were going 4B. And they were saying what you just said is like, you think we're idiots. We're smarter than you, you know, and very eloquently said. And they weren't nasty per se. Some of them were brutal, which was awesome. But generally speaking, it's, you know, how condescending to think that we're idiots. You know, we're third world, uneducated and all that. And you know better than we do what we want, much like we were just talking about. But Just to kind of give my viewpoint on Passport Bros, and I've covered this on my podcast primarily with Alex, he has a YouTube channel. You should check it out. It's called the Million Men
Yeah,
Project, I think
I
it is.
follow him.
Million Men Project. Yeah. And he is a Passport Bro. He is now in Thailand. And he covers this extensively and has. I mean, he does other content too, but when he was on my podcast, he originally came on when he first moved to Thailand. And then he came on a year later to talk about it. And unfortunately, a lot of what you think isn't true, right? He says that a lot of, again, in Thailand, Bangkok is where he is, if I remember right. The women there are becoming westernized, as he put it, right? They're falling into the feminist trap. Um, it's kind of a hit and miss there. It's better there. He will say that. I'm putting words in his mouth, but I kind of, I've made friends with him. We talk frequently. It's better there, but it's getting worse by the day. And that's unique to Thailand. He said he's heard, because he talks to guys all the time, he's heard the same about the Philippines. So my viewpoint on Passport Bros is buyer beware, so to speak, because I know of two instances, two guys, and this is 15 years ago, who were basically led the Passport Bro movement. One married a woman from the Philippines, hands down the happiest marriage I've ever seen. They even beat you, Lindsay. All
Wow.
right. It is sickening how amazing they are together. And they post on Facebook all the time. And I know them well enough to know they're not posting BS, the fake life. They're posting their real life. They get along so well. So there's an instance where it worked. But I also know of another guy right around the same time, married a woman from Russia. And they had a child together. And it was a nightmare. And she's actually took the child back to Russia, and he has no access to the child now. She got her over here, got her green card, got pregnant, went to visit her family with the child, and never came back. And basically, he's screwed, right? Because obviously, Russia and the U.S. don't get along to begin with, but there's no laws to protect him. So he pretty much knows he will never see his daughter again. They've completely cut him off, and Russia doesn't give a shit. So, you have to be aware of that stuff, whether you stay with them overseas or whether you bring them here. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference from what the guys who have done that have told me. It's positive and negative. There's no consensus that I've seen. I mean, I have a lot of guys when I've done videos on Passport Bros, a lot of guys will reach out to me with cautionary tales. But I'll also hear from guys who think it's amazing. I think and I think Alex would agree with me. Again, I'm putting words into his mouth, which I shouldn't do, but I think he would agree with me to say that it's overblown in how good it is, right? People think it's the be all end all. It's not. Does that mean you can't have better luck? I think he would say yes. And I trust his judgment over mine. Go check out the Million Men Project on YouTube. I have no problem recommending him. He speaks eloquently about it far more than Lindsay or I can. So, any other thoughts you have on that one?
I hear a lot of stories about them going to the Asian countries. So the Philippines are technically considered part of Asia. But the most success stories I have, believe it or not, are South America.
I've heard similar. Not Venezuela.
No, not Venezuela.
Although that's going to change. But I think from what you got to remember, I can only go by what people reach out to me on. Generally speaking, I agree with you. I think the consensus would be that you're better luck and Alex has even mentioned that, in South America. But do you think that, so one of the things I was thinking about with all that, because somebody asked me about that before, is that the cultural thing because they're Western Hemisphere?
It's not just that, it is down to culture, but if you look at the predominantly Hispanic countries, Ecuador, Colombia, and they're all very, very traditional family-wise. So they are raised in more of a traditional Western versus traditional Asian, which they're two completely different cultures. So
it's different. Yeah. It's like Asian culture, again, we're generalizing, respect our elders, whereas we don't, right? That's why they point out my age to me all the time. Um, so I think it's cultural also. I think religious comes into
Yeah,
play.
well, most of the Catholic, the truly Catholic countries, not Roman. Well, I mean they are Roman Catholic, but if you were to talk to, this is very interesting. If you were to talk to a Catholic from like actual like Rome or Spain or somewhere, Italy, you're going to get
Mhm.
different if than from South America because there's the Indian influence down there. So the Spanish conquistadors came over and they intermixed with Spanish, intermixed with the Mayan and the Aztecs and all of the different Indian tribes, and so in Central and South America, and it bred into this wonderful culture that we see now, which is why you get a very different flavor of Catholic south of the border than you do from like, Italy.
Well, my impression, and I am not religious at all right, let me put that caveat out there, but my impression is that the Catholic religion from the South American or Mexico or all that is more Catholic than the ones from, say, the
they're
Vatican.
they're
I
more
really,
Catholic, but they're also a lot nicer about it. So
well, but they're more
yeah,
traditional
they're more
also,
traditional.
right? And I respect that. I think, again, I'm not religious in any way. I was raised Lutheran, if it matters, but last time I actually went to church was 1980, other than weddings and funerals. I just, I mean, I'm not like you, Lindsay. I don't live in an area that's huge Hispanic population, but there's a pretty decent one where I am. And, when I talk to them, they're very religious and I respect the hell out of it. Right. It's not my thing, but um, the impression I get is they're much closer to the tenets of the religion, if you will, than say what I would perceive out of, say, the Vatican, right? Um, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just simply making note of it. And it's interesting to me that philosophy with it all, and it's again, it speaks to culture as well. They are, the Hispanic population, I think, is very family oriented. Good for them, by the way. That's why I always laugh. The Democrats are trying to import them all. They don't know what they're doing. I guess they are not going to be the way they are. But I admire that actually. I think we need more of it, but it is what it is. So yeah, that was a great question. I'm looking for other ones. I'm stalling, Lindsay.
Well, I
So
can't. There was one I saw. I'm going back here. Where was it?
ask questions, guys. It's open. Oh, here's one. Let me throw this up. I don't know if it's a question. Well, it's a question, but I'm assuming you're asking, is a tattoo a mark of maturity?
The ability. Well, when I was talking about you were 18 and you can get a tattoo. Um, it can be and it can't be because I mean I have know some people that get very nice tattoos, and I know some people that are 50 and get really dumb ones. So it's a personal choice. But the idea, the point in me saying that you're 18 and you can get a tattoo is that you are now of legal age, that you know sort of what you're doing, and you can be held accountable for the choice that you make. But you can't tell a girl, okay, you're an adult now, and then turn around, and
Mhm.
when she makes a decision you don't like, oh, you're a child, you're a baby, you don't know what you're doing, there, sit down, sweetheart, let your elder speak for you. And I'm like, Tiffany, you've been divorced 4 times.
Tiffany with an
With an
eye.
I. You've been divorced 4 times, have 6 cats, and a drinking problem, boxed wine, not even good wine. Sit down.
Brutal. Brutal. So yeah, I mean, I I I am the opposite of what is normally out there in the quote unquote manosphere on tattoos. I love them. I have a bunch of them. I can show you the one there. There's one there. So I'm a hypocrite to say don't get tattoos. My wife is covered in them, and I think they're awesome. I think now. Let me say this: all of my daughters wanted tattoos. I said no until they were 18. That's up to them. right? You are, because my belief is if you're 18, you're old enough to go fight in a war. I think you should be able to drink at 18 also. You're an adult. You can sign contracts. Yes, at that point, hopefully you're mature enough to decide whether to permanently ink yourself. Um, but I also, some people will make the argument, well, not every 18-year-old. You're right. There are 48-year-olds that aren't mature enough to make that decision. But you gotta put a line somewhere. I think the quote unquote manosphere overblows the whole tattoo thing. And I see a lot of guys saying, I will never date a woman with a tattoo. Now, having said that, if her face is tattooed or they've got the neck ones, yeah, I'll be a complete hypocrite and say there wasn't a chance in hell I would date her. Okay.
Houston.
What'd he say? I missed it. Now I got to scroll because I found a question I was going to ask next. Oh, I've heard that one before. There's another one, money wise, but anyway. But yeah, so I mean, I'm a complete hypocrite on the tattoos as far as what others say, but I have a fantastic marriage, and my wife is covered in them.
Honestly, nowadays, believe it or not, a lot of the quote unquote alt girls, the ones who grew up, goth or punk or whatnot, are some of the most traditional women out there because they all married blue collar men.
True. What's funny though is back in the day, there I got it in. I was waiting to sneak one in. So if you're new here, every time I say back in the day, you have to drink. And I'm talking in this up to the 70s and 80s. If a woman had a tattoo, she was a horrible person. I know Lindsay likes when I use that one. That kind of all changed. And my advice to anyone is, look, don't judge a book by its cover necessarily. Yes, I'm a hypocrite. If your face is covered in them, no, I'm not going to deal with it. But that's me. But if you've got them tasteful, and I always, like I said to my daughters, make sure you can hide them, right? Because there are going to be times where, because mine, you would not know I had them if I didn't want you to, right? I can cover all of mine up because there are times they're not appropriate, I think. But again, everybody wants to make it a black and white issue. It's very gray to me. This is just my 2 cents. All right, you ready for the next one?
I'm ready for the next one.
I am loving this. Guys, keep the questions coming. So this is from Rangers. I'm hoping he means New York Rangers, not Texas Rangers. Do men have a social obligation to help women? Yes or no? I already know Lindsay's answer, but go.
No.
Why not?
So I'm of two opinions on this, and you'll have to excuse me. From a purely biological standpoint, without women, there can be no children, and without children, the species dies. However, at this point, I think that we're probably the planet that the aliens lock their doors as we spite by because we're all morons. We've had all this time to evolve, and we're still fighting over the same stupid shit. So with the way that our society is structured right now, we are a gynocentric oligarchy. And it used to be that, I will argue this until the cows come home, the patriarchy has never been what feminists say it is. It is
patriarchy.
The patriarchy. It has done more good for women in the past than it ever did harm. But there came with societal obligations. So men protected women, and that was a societal obligation of the privileges that they had. So men had privileges, but they also had responsibilities and obligations that went with those privileges. Women, in turn, had to reciprocate we actually had to do something in order to earn that protection. Modern women don't do shit. So no, they don't deserve it at all.
My argument is I've accepted what the feminists say. And what do they say? We don't need no man. We can do it all ourselves. Therefore, there is no social obligation for men to help women anymore. Sorry.
And
I believe in equality. And they hate me when I say that.
And then the women sit there and they're like, where did all the good men do? You drove them off. You told them you didn't want them.
That's why I love the videos because they were on TikTok 2 months ago. I don't know. I probably saw 24 of them of women that were either having car trouble or flat tires and all that, and making videos about the men not helping them. What you expect, sister? You told men you didn't need us. Okay, we accept. We accept your terms and conditions. Next. And so, yeah. So to answer the question, not a chance. Not a chance. All right, let me see. I don't know if this will switch automatically. There it is. So next question. Now we can't say the word because we'll get in trouble. But what do you think about the unfairness against male victims of, and especially when the perpetrator is a woman?
My entire adult life, I have been fighting against this. So ever since I would, well, and into my teens as well. So from the time I was 17, right after I became a victim myself, I have been talking about the inequality that men face in this particular place. Like I have written legislation to try and get it changed so that one, the made to penetrate is part of the definition of R. Because right now, it's a horrible crime. It's the worst thing that you could ever do to someone other than unalive them because you have trespassed upon them. You have forced your will upon them. And to sit there and call it R when a man does it to a woman, but put it under the umbrella term of SA when it's a woman who does it to a man, fuck you, no. No, excuse me, but SA is a broader term that counts anything from unwanted kissing and catcalling to, groping, whereas R is a very, very, very specific crime that needs to be treated with all due respect and gravity. So to sit there and say that it's, this gravitas thing when it's done to a woman, but to sit there and, oh, it's just SA. Oh, we have laws that protect men. No, we don't. No, we don't. 40% of women report versus 10% of men. And with only that 10% of men reporting, we still have numbers equal to that of women. So there's symmetry, gender symmetry between male and female victims and perpetrators. But look at the reporting disparity. So we have gender symmetry, so numbers that add up, and we have 40% of women are reporting and only 10% of men. Imagine what the numbers would look like if 40% of men also reported. I would argue, be willing to bet that women do it more than men. And the fact that no one will listen to me when I say this, and I've been fighting this fight my entire adult life, from the time I was, 17 to now I'm 37, and I still can't get people to wrap their freaking head around this. I can't. They're like, well, are they everything in the book? And I was like, okay, well, just switch the genders. If it sounds horrible when it's done to a woman, why on earth do you think it is okay for a woman to do to a man?
Well, I mean, again, for those that aren't aware, I am a victim. I was 13 years old. She was 35. It happened many times. Um, Generally speaking, the majority of women will tell me I wanted it, I liked it, and it wasn't R or SA. And that has been consistent for 50 years. Seriously. I mean, it's how long ago it was. Even today, they still argue that. And when I bring that up in discussions, because I have the same discussions Lindsay does, they will not admit that it happened to me, right? Oh, you're making it up. No, I'm not. Or you wanted it. No, I didn't. Right. It's consistent with that. And then to some of the things that Lindsay was talking about, when you look at the statistics, you have to understand those statistics are completely skewed because in many, not all, but in many jurisdictions around the world, by legal definition, a woman cannot commit R because it has to involve penetration. So your statistics where they'll say, well, 98% are committed by men, that's because of the way that it's defined, right? Made to penetrate, MTP, does not count. But when you talk to a psychologist about this, or someone at that level, and they talk about the dynamic behind it, this argument's been around as long as I've been alive. It's not about sex. It's about power and control. Well, how's it any different if a woman asserts her power and control over a man than the other way around? It should be just as wrong. Wouldn't we agree on that as adults, as reasonable people? The women, and I really, I'm generalizing again, but the feminists, I should say, don't argue that. And yet, on the other hand, they'll argue it's about power and control. It's again, what we talked about before. It's the complete inconsistency with it all. If we actually rewrote the laws and got men to talk about it, I agree with you, Lindsay. I think it would be at least equal, if not more. And we saw that with domestic violence, right? The study after study is now starting to come out showing it's the women who are more violent.
by
You know,
far.
when you look at domestic violence, roughly 50% of it is both sides doing it,
And
right?
women and men initiate in reciprocal violence. Women and men initiate roughly the same
About the
percentage,
same,
25 and 25.
right?
Of non-reciprocal, it's 70% only women and 30% only men. But ironically enough, and I was doing a deep dive into this, so of the reciprocal violence, did you know, and this is pertinent for Savannah's law, if a man raises his hand and shoves her away to defend himself, that's counted as reciprocal violence. So cases of self-defense are counted in instances of reciprocal
Him
violence,
just doing this,
which further skew the stats.
yeah, and that's deliberate. Don't kid yourselves.
No, it's
And
absolutely deliberate.
again, I've done podcasts on this with police officers or ex-police officers who've talked about this at length, how they were trained, why they never prosecuted the women and all that. So, you don't have to take Lindsay and I's word for it. Go talk to these police officers off the record because they can't say it on the record because they'll get hammered if they do. But the Duluth model still trains that way. The larger person should be assumed and presumed to be the perpetrator. And so that's the way it skews all of that as far as the data as well. All right, I'm still trying to jump around on some of the questions. Although Steve said my audio's out of sync, I don't know why it hasn't been on my end. I think it's you, Steve. Um,
I got one from Angel.
can you
Says,
put it up on the screen?
I don't know if I can. No, I don't have that ability.
Well, get it, damn it. Let me look for it. Go ahead and read it while I look for it.
Says, here's something different. What best about men and women humanity has seemed to forgotten about each? We need to come back, I'm assuming, back to each other with men and women are not meant to be separate. So, like, what is it about? I'm assuming, I'm paraphrasing here. What is it about men and women that humanity has forgotten that is like our best qualities? I know what a woman's worst quality is.
What are the best qualities that have been forgotten?
Yeah, in all.
Okay, I got one. So I don't know if it's necessarily forgotten, but it's ignored. I truly believe that the overwhelming majority of men and women are decent and caring and care about each other. And we've lost that. Instead, we focus on the terrible 10, as I call it, 10% that are horrible, right? 90% of men and women are good and genuinely care about each other, are decent. But we focus on the 10% that are bad. On both sides, by the way, right? And I know some will argue, well, it's less than half of 1%, blah, blah. I get that. I'm not saying, but you also have the people that spew that stuff. I think generally speaking, we've lost as a society the ability to understand that the majority of us are good people. And we're so focused on what the media says, and the media's belief is if it bleeds, it leads, because that's what get ratings and makes money. I think that's I would argue has been lost. So what do you think?
I think the thing that has been lost is that men and women are not meant to do everything that the other can do. We are meant to complement each other.
Good one. Good one.
So women focus more on feelings and people, so the internal. Men focus on more on things, so the external. So in other words, a woman guards the hearth and the man guards the perimeter. And that is what builds a home, generally speaking. Generally speaking. And you need both those roles in society. So men are meant to complement women, women are meant to complement men. And we spend so much time trying to pit men and women against each other to compete. All for the man's spot, by the way. I don't see a whole bunch of feminism championing that men should do, feminine things. But we have almost lost that which makes us women are unique. We're being told that we have to do everything that men need to do, but we're not men, and men aren't women, and that is not a bad thing. That is, we are supposed to be
Very
equal
good thing.
opposites.
Yes. We men's weaknesses, generally speaking, are women's strengths and vice versa. We are better as a whole. Two sums make better than apart. And that's a great one you brought up, Lindsay, because we've lost that, right? It's feminism wants to teach women to be, right? They want them to be masculine, but at the same time say that masculinity is toxic. It's hilarious. But if you look at what they tell women to do, go get your career, forsake marriage, motherhood, all that stuff. They're trying to turn them into men. And it's why, I mean, the statistics are out there. It's 50% of women now are being treated for depression. I think that's sad. I'm not saying that as a flex. It's horrible. And I think that number is actually way too low, to be honest with you, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that society, and it's primarily driven by feminism, is trying to drive femininity out of women. It goes against biology, evolution, DNA, even, right?
Well, that's why so many women are miserable, because we're told all our lives that in order to be strong women, we have to
be man,
espouse traditionally masculine qualities. And then the few women like myself who are more traditionally feminine, what do we get called? Sellouts, traitors, men.
And what's interesting is they don't go the other way, though, right? So they want women to embrace masculine traits, but they're adamantly against men embracing feminine ones. Well, if you want to create something in the middle where everyone's the same, wouldn't your argument be that men need to be less masculine? Because you say that, well, we don't want them to be toxic masculine. Okay, well, what do you want them to be? Well, we don't, we want them to be masculine, yeah, but not toxic. Well, what the hell does that mean? They never have a definition for it.
But when shit hits the fan and there's a hurricane or a flood or a fire or a tornado, then they are desperate for toxic masculinity.
Or when it comes time to pay their restaurant bill, then they're all for it. All right, next one. Hold on, I got to show it. What? Crap. See, this is what happens when I try and run the board at the same time. There, did it show? There it is. Our nose rings, red flags also.
Septum theory has yet to be defeated in any of the videos that I have seen.
Amen. I've done videos on this, which are pretty, I got so much hate for that. You're generalizing. No, I'm not. I mean, I have yet to meet a woman who has a septum piercing who is not a rad feminist. Not one. So I think they're the biggest obvious red flag, meaning you can visibly see it. Not a chance. I would go near one. If I see, like, I even get repulsed like waitresses have them. Like, we go to a restaurant and, the girl comes over and she's the server and she's got one. I'm on guard. Because, no.
I mean, I'm open to being proven wrong, but I have yet to be proven wrong.
I haven't met one. Like I said, I have met one that wasn't a rad feminist. All right, let me go to the next one. I'll have fun with this. See, Curtis, you need to do this if he watches this later on. How to avoid gold diggers.
Pretend you're poor.
What was that?
Pretend you're poor. Do not mention.
You beat me to it. That's what
money. Live well below your means. Invest in other, things. I knew a guy who had a lot of money who bought a beater car, and that was what he took on to all of his dates. He had a really nice car. And he had like a color changing Maserati. And I used to make fun of him. I said, Barbie's got torque. But he had a really like a beater car, and that's what he went to go pick up his now wife with. She didn't find out he was a millionaire until after the wedding.
So that's basically what my answer would have been, is tell him you'll only take him for coffee on the first date. That gets rid of 99% of the gold diggers right there. Any woman that sits there and goes, I will not go out for coffee first, guaranteed she's out for money. Guaranteed. So that's the easiest one I can give. We could do we have done whole shows.
We have done whole shows. Like, so I get in fights with women on this all the time. They're like, well, what about, your boyfriend, when, well, you're married now, what did your husband do for a date? I go, when my husband and I were first dating, we were both teenagers and we were both dirt poor. Do you know how many walks around Walmart we did? That was a date.
My wife and I's first date was at Dunkin' Donuts at 7 a.m. And that's what we did. And we were there about an hour. So, and both of us could have afforded more. It wasn't like we were poor, but that's how I knew right away. That was one of the ways I vetted and knew right away. My wife doesn't care about money, never has. And the other way, like people have asked me, how did you know? No. After we started dating, now mind you, this was 15 years ago, so things were totally different then. Because I don't know if you know this, Lindsay, but I'm getting attacked by a female creator now in the men's space, I might add, who was on one of my podcasts as a guest for being a hypocrite because I married and my wife is a single mother or was. She's leaving out all the context of one, it was 2011, 10, 11, we met. One, two, her daughters were adults when we met. So she wasn't, but she's decided to come at me because apparently her reach is not getting very far. It just shows. But anyway, I sidetracked. Now I lost where else I was going to go. Oh, well.
How you knew she wasn't a gold digger?
How I knew she wasn't a gold digger is so about 6 months after we met, I was an executive director level in a company, and the COO and I got terminated. So I went from making multiple six figures to making $400 a week like that. She didn't bat an eye. Didn't care. Didn't change anything. That's when I knew for sure that I was going to end up marrying her. Took our 3 more years to get me, but to wear me down. But I'm joking. So anyway, that's how I knew. It's something. There's little tests you can give, and the big one I tell guys right off the bat: just coffee only, or a walk, or whatever. Something cheap. If she's willing to do that, that's your first indication she's okay.
Another argument that I'll make is on the subject of rings. So I have long said that if you will not take him without a ring, you don't deserve him with everything. I would have married my husband with a blade of grass or a blow pop ring. Like, it wasn't important to me that I had a ring on my finger. It was important to me that I had him.
It's supposed to be the symbol of your love, not how much money do you have, right?
Right. So I mean, if that's all you can afford, that's all you can afford. But like,
it's all you should afford, by the way.
I didn't ask for my engagement ring that he got me, and then we didn't have enough money for a separate wedding band, so we just reused my engagement ring, and I had that for 2 years before we could afford a wedding band. And now I don't wear it because I've had 2 children and my fingers have swollen up since then.
My wife doesn't wear her engagement. The engagement ring I got her is cubic zirconia because that was her decision, not mine. Right? She didn't care because it's not about money. It's not about status. It's not about any of that stuff. It's, do we get along? And we do. I mean, that's all that matters.
Yeah, the ring doesn't make you any more or less married. Like, you're married or you're not. So like, even if I'm out somewhere and I'm not wearing my ring, I'm still married. And if anyone says anything, which no one's done in a very long time, I'm married. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing a ring or not. And so that's another clue that I tell guys, that if she's so focused on the ring and not the like, if women focused half as much on the actual freaking relationship as they do the ring and all the trappings, we would have less divorce. The party.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't even know where my actual wedding ring is because we got real wedding rings. I haven't seen it in 10 years. When we do wear rings, we have those Walmart rubber ones.
Yeah.
Because if I were to wear a real one when I go to work out, it would be bent to shit in about a week. So when I do wear one, we have they're $3 for a pack of 5. I lose them in the ocean. I break them all the time. But when I wear one, that's what I wear. But the funny thing is, and we've talked about this on the show, when I wear one, I get hit on all the time. If you want to meet women, go to Walmart, get the 5-pack for last one pack I bought was $3.60. They'll come to you like magnets. It's amazing how it works. All right, next one. There's so many questions. We're not going to get to all of them, but I'm going to get to as many as we can. So why do modern women only care about looks in men?
I
Six
would
feet,
argue,
six pack abs, baby.
I would argue that they don't. I mean, they care about looks, but you know what they care about more than looks?
Six figures.
That color green. Why do women care more about looks in men? Because they're shallow witches.
They also care about looks more on women too. No
Yes.
one's more judgmental of other women than women.
No one likes the eyelashes. And does anyone know the origin story of those? Cumbrellas.
Let me share a story with you. So I was at the hospital this past weekend. That was the medical thing I had. And there's a woman in the room. So I am laying in the hallway, right? And there's a woman in the room, and I could see into her. The eyelashes, I swear to God, were down to her knees. I have never, I'm not kidding you. They were like, you know who Marty Feldman is? Are you old enough to know Marty Feldman?
No.
Oh, girlfriend. Go look up Marty Feldman. Blazing Saddles. Go, just all I'm going to say.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So he's the one with the crazy eyes, right?
Yes.
She had those eyes with like these bulging eyelashes. And I'm like, how do you even close your eyes? First of all, I was like, oh my God.
Like,
And she was wearing a Burger King uniform. I'm not judging her for being a fast food worker, but come on. What do those eyelashes cost, Lindsay? You would know. I have no idea. They're not like $50, right?
No, but I don't. But see, I've never bought false eyelashes ever.
I gotta believe they're like hundreds of dollars. Somebody, if you know in the comments, I honestly don't know. I asked my wife; she didn't know either because she would never wear something like that.
The most girly thing that I have ever done is I've gotten my nails done like once or twice in my life. That's it. I don't buy eyelashes. I don't buy any of that crap.
I know nails are like $200.
Yeah, no, I won't do that.
Because I have a client.
I'm sorry.
I have a client that I train for lifting, right? And she gets her nails done like every month, and then she breaks them when she's doing like deadlifts. And then she gets mad at me. Like, well, what do you want? Why you either you want to lift, you want to get strong, or you want pretty nails? I want both. Well, you can't have both, darling. But yeah, I just enough on that one. All right, next one. You ready?
I'm ready.
This is fun. All right, this is from Robin. So Dan and daughter. I love that. Next question is: if millions of young testosterone guys can't get a girlfriend or get laid, etc., what is the solution in the U.S. for those guys? Do you predict more violence? Can I answer first? So here's the thing, Robin. It's not that they can't; it's that they don't want to. That's a misnomer. It's what women want to believe. Right? They want to believe there's a male loneliness epidemic. There is not. There's a male liberation epidemic. Are there a certain subset of guys who can't? Yeah. And it's not because they don't have money or don't look good or any of that. It's that they've been taught to be little wimps. Trying not to use the S word.
Panda bears.
Yeah, panda bears is my favorite one. Generally speaking, again, I'm generalizing. This is never black and white, guys. You have to remember, this is all gray. It's shades of gray, 50 shades of gray. The reality is, guys have been for 20 years walking away. They're choosing to not go get some, so to speak, right? They don't want girlfriends. How do I know this? Because I hear from hundreds of them every single day, without fail, for years now. I talked about this. I was a guest on a podcast earlier this week. He'll release it probably in a couple of weeks. It was one of the questions we were talking about. And he said, well, what caused it? And I said, well, it started 20 years ago with MGTOW, right? Is when it started, early 2000s. It kind of grew, exploded in the 2010s. But COVID was the game changer. COVID is when men figured out they don't need women anymore. Because we were all locked in our homes, right? And they found out they were happier. They had more money. They had more peace, which is all guys really care about. And they were enjoying life. So that's why what you're seeing as the marriage rate declining, the birth rate declining and all that, it's guys have walked away and they aren't going to be coming back anytime soon. It's just not going to happen. Nobody wants to have that conversation. Lindsay and I do, because we've talked about it all the time, actually. What is the solution? The solution is women have to realize that they're not the prize anymore. Men are. Men are the prize. And women have to understand that them running around screaming, we want 6 feet, 6 figures, 6 packs, and 6-inch you know what. Guys are seeing those videos and they're literally laughing about them. They think we're all upset and angry and raging on our keyboards. We're laughing our asses off at it. It is the stupidest thing ever, you know? So there's my take on it, Robin, is it's a misunderstanding. Do I think there's going to be more violence because of that? No. Do I think there's going to be more violence? Absolutely. We are headed for some very, very dark times. I'm ready, and I know Lindsay is. But buckle up, kids, because what you're seeing happening right now in certain cities, in 3 to 5 years, you're going to see it explode. That's a whole other channel topic discussion. Your take on it, Lindsay.
So, I too disagree that there is a male loneliness epidemic. I think there is a exploding epidemic of female projection. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's women are lonely and they're sitting there going, where are all the good men? All the good men are gone. I can't find a good man. Therefore, men must not be able to find good women. And it's like, no, they're avoiding you like the plague. Now, here's the interesting part. Historically speaking, more women have gotten married than men. Historically speaking, men have always done better on their own. They don't need the social togetherness. And you have to, historically speaking, you had to be able to support a wife and children that came from that, because birth control didn't exist. The pull-out method is not the one you want to be going with. So in order to get married, you had to basically earn the right by being a fairly productive member of society. You had to be able to support a wife and the family that would follow, which meant that only a select number of men, usually the most well off in any community, or the most that had the most ability to do things,
to be able to provide, basically. Yeah.
Were the ones who got married, and the rest were single. And we kind of flip-flopped that around the turn of the century with the last century. Be patient with me. I was born in the 1900s.
So was I. Wait a minute.
With the Industrial Revolution is where you kind of saw that flip happen, and now more men could afford a wife and family. So women are just now realizing that this has been accurate. And of course, women are the absolute worst when it comes to revisionist history. They copy and pick and choose all over the place. And they're sitting there going, men are lonely. No, they're not, because by and large, throughout most of history, men have been fine on their own. You know who aren't? Women. Bored women, when left to themselves, do stupid shit. The 18th Amendment comes to mind.
Well, they start protesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what they're doing now.
Yeah. There is. Now, let me say this. When I say there's not a male loneliness epidemic, I'm talking with regard to relationships between men and women, right? There is a male loneliness epidemic between men and men. And I don't mean in a gay way, okay? Because everybody throws that in my face. What I mean is younger men in particular do not have the friendships that I did at their age, right? I was not one that had like 20 guy friends. I had 3 or 4 very, very close guy friends. Still are, right? Even now, I don't have a lot of male friends, but the ones I have, I'm extremely close with, right? They can be my ride or dies. That is missing. I will grant that part of it is true as far as a male loneliness epidemic. But that's not what women are arguing. They're arguing that, well, we've left the men. No, you haven't. Men have left you. You just don't want to cope with that reality.
Because that would involve taking accountability for the fact that they suck, and that's why men don't want to get anywhere near them.
The other side of it, Lindsay, I'm finding is the so-called experts in academia cannot make that distinction, because I've had this conversation with a couple of them recently, and they're like, those are the same thing. I'm like, they're not the same thing to a guy. It's totally different, right? Men have relationships and friendships with men for certain things, right? Camaraderie, that type of thing. They have relationships with women for other things.
Well, see, so
Two entirely different things to a guy. Whereas for a woman, I think it's more centralized, right? They want both because it's the social aspect more, right? What you were talking about. Women depend on that because they're biologically driven to be that way. Men are biologically driven to survive on their own if they have to.
so ironically, I've observed this in fan fiction, but also in reality, is men aren't allowed to be friends with men anymore without being accused of either doing something nefarious or being gay.
All the time I hear it.
So
All the time.
you're not, so the women, in believe it or not, I would almost blame women for the reason why men don't have more male friendships, because women want to be the sole emotional cornerstone of men's lives, and if they try to have a night out with the boys, well, why can't I come? Because you're a
Yeah,
woman.
all right. Yeah, I will agree. I was going to disagree with you, but I'll agree with you in that sense, right? But I think generally speaking, it's the guy's fault. They're just not putting themselves out there to go see other guys or hang out with them.
Well, you also have to remember that a large number of men are being raised by single mothers
That's
who,
a valid point.
again, will also push them towards a more feminine way of making friends.
Mhm.
And that's just not how male bonding works.
But it's interesting, like when I work with guys, I coach them and stuff like that, and I say to them, do you have any male friends? No. Well, why not? I don't know how to find one. Is the most common answer I get, and I get that, right? Because they've never been taught. And I say to them, just go up to a guy if you have a common interest, or if let's say you like football, go hang out in a sports bar on a Sunday. You'll meet guys that like the same things you do, right? Or join a kickball league, or some guy I was just working with. He said, I was doing this whole conversation with him. I said, well, what do you like? He goes, well, I was thinking about joining a kickball league. Go join. You'll meet guys there. You'll have teammates, right? A lot of my friends are from football when I played football. You've got to put yourself out there. If you sit in your house day after day playing video games, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to meet people. And when I say meet people, I mean face to face or shoulder to shoulder, if you will, because guys communicate shoulder to shoulder. Through the internet is not the same thing. It's totally different. So that's why I say to guys, get out, because what you will realize quickly if you do is the guys that you're going to meet want the very same thing you do. They're looking for guys to hang out with. Back in the day, here we go. I got another one in. That's two today. LAN parties. We used to bring all our computers and do LAN parties to play video games because you had no choice because the internet was dial-up. Things like that. That part of the male loneliness epidemic, I agree with. The other side of it, there is none. And guys, the beauty of it is there's literally thousands and thousands of guys in the comments on my video saying there isn't one. They're not lonely in that regard. And women will go, yes, you are.
Shut up. Yes, you are. I know what you're thinking better than you.
Yep. All right, next one. I'm trying to get to as many as I can, guys. Why do women want to put women in prison for something they did not even do? That one's easy.
Because they're vindictive witches.
My take is a little different. It's because it makes them feel strong and independent.
Well,
that's simple.
You know what? No, I think you might actually have a point. So women's worst quality is their vindictiveness, but women attack through social means. So they know they can't take men physically. So they want to humiliate a man. They want society to do their dirty work for them. And thus a man ends up in prison.
Well, yeah, you got to remember right now it's a badge of honor to get a guy in prison. Ever since Me Too and Believe All Women and all that, they wear it like a badge of honor. And I've seen videos, women bragging about it. And I'm like, wow, you're bragging you made a false allegation. They admitted they made a false allegation. I'm like, wow. All right, next one. I'm going to get to as many as I can. Ready, Lance? There you go. That one's for you, babe. You don't like my hair? No, you said my hair is good looking too. So, all right, next one. We got to do this more often, Lindsay. I'm having a ball today. Where did feminism come from?
Um,
And there's the answer right there. Bingo. Thank you, Trog. You nailed it.
well,
That
no,
would be my answer.
it's true. It's Marxism, but with genders instead of class. That's all it is.
Basically. All right, next one. So feminists say they don't need men. My question is, do men need women? Go ahead, Linz. I know your answer, but it's the same as mine, so you can answer for both of us.
No.
We don't even need you for babies anymore. It's about 5 years out.
Have you seen? I saw an article on a new artificial womb. They're getting much closer.
5 years. That's the latest I saw. I read the research, not the article.
Hmm.
5 years. 5 years. That's how soon it will be. Then, oh, you think the birth rate's bad now? They're also very close. And I did a video on this on the male birth control pill. They're in trial right now on a new one. So they had one about 10 years ago, and
It had horrible side effects.
men were killing themselves, right? This new one's not. The research is looking good.
And then the women, the nice, lovely, wonderful, sweet women were talking about, oh, it makes them kill themselves. Well, yay! And I'm like, and that's why they hate us.
Once that pill comes out, it will be the most prescribed, most bought, most used pill in the history of mankind. And you think artificial wombs will take the birth rate down? That will finish it once and for all, because men will actually have control over it. And like I said, it will, whatever company comes out with it, and I know Pfizer's one of them, all the big pharma companies, whatever one gets it, trillions of dollars. All right, next one. We're going fast and furious on these. Does just being attractive man reduce your problem with women? Oh, I know the answer to that. I'll let you go first, though.
Nope. It just gives you a new brand of problems.
It's the exact opposite, I think. Yeah. It creates more problems because the biggest reason being you'll have more women throwing themselves at you.
Because the women practice this lovely, wonderful thing, and they've done it throughout all of history. And I will not accept that they say that they don't. It's hypergamy. So the bottom of all women are all throwing themselves at the top, 5-10% of men. And it used to be that they were at least a little bit more cognizant of their ability. But nowadays we have a whole bunch of twos who think they're tens.
Yeah, and I got, going back to what I was talking about a little while ago. Now I am an average looking guy. I am not a good looking guy. I don't think I am. These women don't know that I have money, but if I put that wedding ring on, they can't wait to try and come up to me. And it's like, I think some of it is it's hypergamy for sure, but I think some of it is women's perception that if the guy's married, there's something good about him.
Which that baffles me because okay, if you can steal him away from another woman, then that means another woman could steal him away from you. Makes no sense.
I totally agree with you. And sometimes I'm polite and sometimes I'm rude. And sometimes I'm like, go fuck yourself. Right. I showed the story. I think I told you about it like a few months ago. I'm in a grocery store, and mind you, I'm 62 and I look like this. What you see is what you get. And I've got this 35-year-old woman with 2 kids in tow trailing me around the grocery store. And I'm like, oh, honey, you have no chance in hell. I mean, get away from me, right? And she wasn't like stalking me, but it was obvious that she wanted some attention. And I'm like, no. All right, next one. This is our buddy Angel. What is considered this is a great question. What is considered a red flag in women that is completely obvious to other women, but not other men unless men have experienced it? What would you say, Lindsay?
If she is at all intimidated by any other women in your life.
Ooh, I would not have gone there. How do expound on that? Because wow, that's a great one.
The one and only time that my brother got anywhere close to having a girlfriend, I came to visit him at work, and I got the absolute 3rd degree from this girl. And I said, hey, Trav, you want to come over later? And she's like, You have 2 kids. And I go, yes. And this one calls him uncle and that one calls him uncle. Fuck off. And I'm like, he's my brother. Oh. And I'm like, he's not even your boyfriend. Like the
I'm like, wow.
if you are that intimidated, if that insecure that any woman interacts with him and you try and immediately cut him off, or I've had it happen to male cousins. Um, I had it happen with one of my nephews once. Like a girl gave me a dirty look, and I go, he is my nephew. Ew. Um,
I can't top this one, Lindsay.
so
That
the
wow.
the insecurity, like if you are going to be that insecure that he's not even allowed to talk to another woman, run quickly, fast, away.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree with that. What I'll throw out is to work off of that question. It's an indirect answer. Is if you can, as a guy, and you have a female friend you can trust, their radar on whether a woman is good or not is way better than ours, right? I think universally, because we are idiots sometimes. If she's attractive and plays nice with us, we'll buy it. Although we're getting better at noticing it's not true. It's a game. Women, I think, are innately better at seeing whether a woman's a good or bad one. I just my experience with that, and I have very close female friends who will say point blank, no, run, get away from her, and they don't even really know her well, right? Best friend in the world happens to be a woman, and I've known her far longer than I know my wife, and she said about my wife, lock her down. She knew, and she was 100% right. And there were women I had dated beforehand. She's like, get the hell out, run, don't look back. So she is my ride or die. She's very protective of me. So I think just kind of play off of that question. That's get a girlfriend, not a girlfriend, who will be honest with you, and that's your best way to spot red flags.
Another red flag coming off of that is if you have a female in your life that tells you what she thinks you want to hear rather than being honest with you, being the respectful enough to give you the honest opinion. That's another one. So like there are women that I've met through my husband's work. He works in a predominantly male oriented space, but every now and then you'll have a woman come through here and I'll sit there and say, do not be alone with her ever.
My wife has done the same thing. She'll like, nope, don't be around her. And I trust her 100%. So my wife is one of the ones that I trust implicitly to judge other women. Her radar, I can't even come close to it. And I think as far as a guy goes, I'm pretty good at it. I didn't even hold a candle to her. All right, next one. I'm going quick on these, I know. We're not going to get to them all, but I'm going to get to as many as I can. Are women with 10 cats a red flag? What do you say, Lindsay?
Yes.
No, that's too many. 2. 2 or more. Get rid of them.
Other than herself, obviously. Other than.
All right. I'm trying to get to the next question. Hang on. You were supposed to talk longer while I look for the next.
I'm sorry. I can't talk more.
All right. Angel's got another one. What would you advise men about women and how to treat the right ones when they come along? Never pick a woman who waits at the finish line. What would you say to a man?
Look, a dog. Yes, thank you, Sansa. Yeah, if she's willing, she has to be willing to build with you. If she's waiting at the finish line for you, she's looking for a payout. She's looking for a sponsorship, not a relationship. Like my husband and we are very well off right now. But when we first got married, we were poorer than church mites. We had one car. I was shuffling him to the base and then coming back home to work. We did some where he would work and then I would work, and we would never see each other because we had bills to pay. And so she has to be willing to sacrifice with you, for you, because the marriage or the relationship is the goal. Not her, not you, but you together is the important part. And if all she ever does is think about herself or what can you do for her or you're not measuring up, she's not interested in building with you. She's interested in you building her up.
My answer would be very similar, slightly different. My advice would be to take it slow and steady, right? Like I said earlier, coffee date first. I wouldn't even do dinner date until third date. I wouldn't try and become romantically involved. How's that? For at least 5 to 10 dates. Um, you will find out quickly where a woman is if you start doing that, right? Um, if a woman jumps into bed with you on date, say 2, trust me, if she's doing it with you, she's doing it with others. Okay. And it kind of plays along with what you were saying, Lindsay, right? Is you want somebody that's going to build, to use your word, not expect the world and give nothing in return. Test them regularly, right? Not treat them with respect, treat them as you expect to be, and have boundaries. Test their boundaries, test your boundaries with them. It's not being nasty or conceited or any of that crap. But if you treat them well and they respond in kind, okay, keep going forward. But if you treat them well, and I'll give you a very basic one. If you, I don't know, let's say you give them flowers and they don't say thank you, and a lot of them don't now, why would you want to be with a woman like that? If she's not showing you genuine appreciation and acknowledgement for anything that you do, run. Because if she ain't doing it now, she ain't ever going to do it. Um, so that's just kind of I went all the way around the type of thing, but all right. Any more thoughts that you had on that?
No, except this reminds me of a post I saw from Lynn the other day. It was talking about a guy was saying how easy it would be to just respond, "Thank you, had a great time," to a woman. He was another pander bear, and she flipped it on him because she's so good at that. She goes, "Right, but I hope you're at least saying thank you when he sends you a text for taking you out on a date." And I said very ineloquently, because I hadn't had all of my coffee yet today, I was like, "Yeah, I still thank my husband when he takes us out for a dinner." And I said, "And we're married." And they go, "Yeah, well, I would hope you would be married to your husband." And I go, "Yes," but I realized that I said that I fumbled that. But the idea was that I was trying to say that even within my marriage, I still show basic appreciation and thoughtfulness for the things that he does for me that he doesn't have to.
Well, it's along those lines. Like the other day, I did something for my wife, and she was at work at the time. She came home and she just gave me a hug. That was her way of thanking me. That meant the world to me. That meant more than any thank you she could have verbalized, right? Something as simple as that. We were talking earlier about what's been lost. That's what's another thing that's been lost, right? Basic, decent kindness towards each other within a relationship. Doesn't always have to be verbal, right? A simple hug, a simple. If a woman goes up and pats, basically puts her hand on the guy on his back or something like that, it can mean the world to a guy, right? Men are starved for that stuff. It doesn't always have to be like women are all, oh, he said he did the dishes and blah, 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 blah. And now he wants me to thank him for it. It's because you've never done it before. You've never acknowledged or appreciated anything he does ever. So the fact that you haven't would mean that he's looking for it. And if you're making a video saying you're not going to do it, and God forbid he even asked or hinted at it, that speaks volumes about the type of woman she is.
Well, I also think that another one is that what women do not understand, and yes, I'm going to go there in the short time we have left.
I know we're running out of time.
Women do not understand. They cannot wrap their freaking heads around it that women feel close to their men when they connect cerebrally. Men connect to their women intimately through physical touch. Yes, that includes sex, but it also just includes, so I'll do this thing to my husband where he'll be sitting in a chair and I'll walk up to him and say, assume the position, and I'll climb on top of him and glomp him. I call it a glomp. And I just kind of just
You don't do those things, daughter.
And Sometimes he holds me tighter than I hold him, which means I know he needed it more than I did.
Mhm.
And when women demand that men take care of their emotional needs, talking to them, discussing things with them, listening to them rant, but then turn around and go, "Well, it won't kill you if I don't touch you." He will not physically die, but it is a death to the relationship.
They're killing it. They just don't know it, or do they don't care?
They don't care.
All right, we only got a few more minutes. Let me get to this one. So Steve wants to know, how can men once again create male-only clubs, gyms, etc.? I don't know that they can right now. Couple of reasons why. One, the women are going to do everything they can to infiltrate it and shut it down. I've been having a lot of conversations. For those that don't regularly watch, I used to own gyms. Okay, I've worked in gyms off and on for 40 odd years, owned gyms. So I'm very deep into the gym business side of things. All right. Gyms are in deep shit right now. You're going to see mass waves of them closing, massive amounts of them closing. The reason is men are leaving. The male membership rate in gyms is starting to plummet. And the number one reason that men are leaving it is women. All those videos out there where women are filming, trying, they'll film for 3 hours doing a workout, hoping to get one guy to glance at them for 1/10 of a 1 second so they can put him on Insta and out him as a creep, right? I mean, Joey Swole does videos on it every single day. I love that guy. But I'm talking on the, I'm in groups on Facebook and a couple other places, Discord and all that, with gym owners. Guy I know he owned a gym for 40 years, just closed it. He's like, I lost half my male membership. And I'm like, well, here's why. He goes, really? Because he didn't know. I said, did you allow filming in the gym? Yeah. Well, buddy, you blew it, right? And he's a great guy, but a lot of the gym owners just don't realize it. And that's on the gym side. Things like male only clubs. I mean, we can't even have the Boy Scouts now. The girls had to infiltrate that, but guys can't join the Girl Scouts though. So it's I don't know that it's possible right now. I just don't know that it is. Thoughts, Lindsay?
I mean, I'm still pissed that they let girls into the Boy Scouts, because I'm like, okay, so we're bitching about, ironically, we're bitching about all of the biological males that are coming into female only spaces and making us feel unsafe. Okay, well, take that and flip it. Well, we can't make men feel unsafe. Really? False allegations, anyone?
Yeah, but they deny they even do them. Oh, they're not that often, really.
Well, the whole thing about the gym thing, like, men are not safe from women, because women may not be able to beat them to death, but they can absolutely ruin them in the court of public opinion.
Like that.
Like that.
And like we said earlier, they wear it as a badge of honor when they do.
So,
All right,
I mean,
go ahead, finish your thought.
I don't know if it's possible now, but I am not against men having their own spaces. I never have been. If women are allowed,
we need to
and you
have
need them, you need to have male only spaces so that men can have those friendships that they're missing out on.
Well, I hear all the time, why don't they open male only gyms? I will tell you, as a gym owner, it's not financially viable. It's not going to happen. Women only gyms failed. Curves. Anyone hear about that? Curves failed massively. There was a Curves on every street corner for a while. Part of it was the way they tried to grow, but women want to be in gyms with men, and men don't want to be in the gyms. I mean, women view them as meat markets, generally speaking, right? That's why they dress the way they do. Yeah, and no one's more vicious, by the way, than other women in the gym. I used to sit on the treadmills or on the ellipticals and listen to women trashing other women. I loved it. Angel made a comment. Let me post that one, because I think it's a great one. Also, women are biologically wired to look for safety and protection, while men are biologically wired to provide and protect. 100% agree on that. Unfortunately, like we were saying earlier, what's been lost, that
Well, yeah, they're denying that.
they're demonizing it.
They're demonizing it when men do it, and they're also demonizing women who look for that. Any woman who is traditionally feminine is called a doormat. I did a post on my Facebook today about how women of today look back on our grandmothers like they're trapped little birds who, it's us enlightened women. And I'm like sitting there going, our grandmothers and great grandmothers could beat the crap out of you in a competency fight. So yeah.
All right, we got time for one more. There's a bunch of them I wish we could get to. We're just out of time, but I'm going to close on this one because I think it's a great one. He's asking me, but we're going to ask Lindsay too. What's your best estimate of false allegations per day? Tens of thousands.
Yeah, about millions.
So just go set. Here's what I'm going to tell everyone watching this to go do. It'll take one day out of your life. Go sit in family court. They're open to the public, right? You can walk in there. They don't close the courts unless it's something like an adoption or, DSS is involved as far as taking a child away or something like that. Family court is wide open. You can observe. You will see, and I've had lawyers tell me this. I've had family court judges tell me this. About 70 to 80% of cases now involve false allegations. In the corporate world, they're rampant. HR departments are handling them nonstop. None of those are counted in the statistics. And then you're talking about like every time a woman makes a video, like we just talked about the gym creep type videos, that's a false allegation. So there are, I would argue probably there are millions, but realistically speaking, tens, if not hundreds of thousands a day. Your thoughts, Lindsay, to close it out?
No, I mean, that's accurate. I mean, I haven't been, you asked me at the beginning if I've been on Reddit. I haven't, but I always see the stupid Reddit stories on TikTok where somebody was accused of something, and it's always a guy that got accused of some horrible thing by a woman. It turns out that, it was completely innocuous or she was flat out lying. All of those are false allegations. Everyone, when they hear false allegations, they automatically jump straight to SANR. But no, any accusation against someone of horrible behavior that isn't true is a false allegation, and they are everywhere.
Just go look at the comments on my videos, see how many of them are made on there. Right? You hate women. That's a false allegation. They don't know me. They're just assuming. They're making an allegation against me. I've been called everything on the P3DO, the works.
I keep getting accused of being all for marital rape and supporting rapists.
Yeah, those are all false allegations. They just don't count in the statistics. All right, what a great show this has been.
This is great,
I got to be honest. This is the most fun one I've had in probably a year, Lindsay. I'm not going to lie to you. We need to do this more often.
I agree. All right, guys.
Oh, I was waiting. You're wrapped. I get stall for 10 seconds while I get the thing up there. Close it out.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week.